Okay, so now that we understand critical thinking and paraphrasing, and we've practiced these two skills, let's look at the third key communication strategy, which is visualization. Now, remember, visualization means to translate images or to translate information into images in the mind's eye. That means when you hear something or you read something, then in your head you try to create a picture or a video of this information. So let's talk about the why and the how. So why is it important to visualize? Why must we visualize? This might seem like a silly question, but it is an important question. And even though we naturally visualize, so we naturally try to see information, it's something that we can practice and something that we can do much better when we practice, just like running. So, of course, people who practice running and go jogging in the morning, they're much better at running than people who don't. It's the same kind of thing with visualization. Now, the first reason why it's really important to try to see information is so that we can understand information clearly. So we visualize to understand information clearly. Now, you probably realized at this point that for critical thinking, paraphrasing, and visualization, the first reason why we do these skills is because we want to understand information clearly. So it's very obvious that these three techniques or skills are extremely important for successful results on the IELTS exam. Okay, the second reason why we need to visualize information is to try to remember information much longer and more accurately. Many times students read a passage in the IELTS and then they don't remember the information they just read, even if they understand the words. This is because they don't see the information, so the information goes in their eyes and kind of goes out the back of the head. So just like our grandparents who did a lot of visualizing when they read books, so they remember the books they read when they were young children, we need to do the same thing so that we can clearly remember what we're hearing and what we're reading or the information we're using. So we have to visualize to remember information longer and more accurately. Okay, now the third reason why visualization is such an important skill is because when we see information in our heads, it's much easier for us to bring back that information. So when we need to use the information, we can bring it out from our minds and use it for writing or use it for speaking or for answering questions. This is called recall. So think about it this way. Remembering information is like saving information, like saving a file on the computer. And recalling information is like bringing back information or opening a file, for example, on the computer. But here you're doing it, of course, with your brain. So to recall information faster and more accurately. So notice that you're remembering information more accurately and you're recalling information more accurately. That means with more details. So during a test, this is going to help you a lot. Now, just one last point that I'm going to put up here about why practicing visualizing information when you're learning is so important. Humans are visual. We have 5 senses, okay? We have our sense of smell, we have our sense of taste, we have our sense of hearing, we have our sense of touch, and we have our sense of sight. From these 5 senses, our most powerful sense is arguably our vision. We take in more information with our eyes than anything else. This back part of our head, called the occipital lobe, is used for visual processing. So this means that anyone who is not visualizing information is really not using their most powerful sense and their most powerful processor to figure out and understand information. So remember, visualization is your most powerful tool. It's your most powerful processor. So vision is the most powerful human sense. So use it. All right. So just a quick review of what we said here. We must visualize to understand information, to remember information, to recall information, and because it is the most powerful human sense. So now that we understand why visualization is such an important skill for the IELTS exam and for future study or professional life, let's look at how we can practice visualization with some examples from the IELTS. Okay, so how can we practice visualization? There are lots of ways to practice visualization, and I suggest checking out different ways in the future, just like there's different ways to learn how to run better or run faster. Here I'm going to teach you one very basic method or technique to practice visualization. And for this, we're going to use an example from the AE Help curriculum book. So first, let's go through the steps of visualization and what are the effective ways of visualizing, and then we'll look at the examples. So the question here is, how can we visualize effectively? Okay, and for this, I'm going to show you in 3 steps what you can do to start practicing effective visualization, and you're going to be amazed at how much this will help your learning and your speed of comprehension and giving correct answers. So the first step to visualization is try to see the images and the pictures in your mind very, very clearly, as in real life. So take some time, pay attention, focus, and look and see details in your mind. So always see the image clearly with lots of details, like in real life. So for example, let's say that you're reading a passage about elephants. Then before you read this passage, when you see the title, so Amazing Elephants or The Memory of Elephants or something like that, stop for a second, close your eyes. Sometimes it's very helpful if you close your eyes for a few seconds and try to see a real elephant, so an African elephant or an Indian elephant, not just some simple cartoon elephant, which is just gray and kind of smooth and without detail, but try to see a real elephant, so an elephant with the big tusks, the nice big trunk with the nostrils on the end, big ears with the veins going through the ears. They have beautiful long eyelashes, maybe the tail with the little tuft at the end, the big toenails that they have on their feet. Maybe their gray, dirty, wrinkly body. So try to see a lot of details here, right? So again, the example here is, for example, see a real elephant. Why? Because this is going to help you to understand the information more clearly. So to understand. Now, once you've done this and you start reading a little bit, or you're listening, it works for listening and reading, then the second step that you want to take is try to make the information unique. A lot of students tell me that they have trouble on the IELTS in the listening and the reading because they find the topics boring or it's not interesting to them. That's not good. You need to feel that the information and the listening and the reading and in all parts of the IELTS is something that's interesting and important for you. Make your brain feel that it's important. This way it will do a much better job, okay? And one way you can do this is to make it different somehow. So try to make the image or the picture unique in some way. This is because our brain really doesn't like to think about everyday kind of things. It doesn't like to remember those kinds of things. But if you make the information different somehow, you basically trick your brain into remembering that information better. So if you're doing a passage about the elephants, or let's say you're listening to a lecture about elephants, then imagine that you have a real elephant. So see the details, see the real elephant, but it's the size of a mouse. So it's very, very small. It's about this big and it's sitting in your hand. Okay, so you have a real elephant that's very, very tiny. It's sitting in your hand. This is making the information unique. So now your brain will try to grab and hold this information much, much more accurately, more stronger, and for longer. So again, the example here is a real elephant the size of a mouse. And here, of course, what you're doing is you're helping your brain to remember the information. Okay, and now the third and final step that we need to do here is include ourselves. So the brain loves to participate. Humans love to participate. If we feel that we are a part of the information, our brain is going to give a lot more effort to try to understand and remember and use this information for the future. So if we're not a part of something, we feel that something is far away, then our brain really tries to ignore or filter or not use that information. And that happens a lot with students during the IELTS. They go into the IELTS, they feel that the test and the information is something that's not interesting for them. It's not connected to their life, it's far away. And so, of course, the scores this way are lower. So again, remember, the brain loves to participate. It loves to be involved in the information. So always include yourself in the images that you visualize. Now, this can be in many ways. So this can be as a human. For example, if I'm listening or reading about elephants or writing about elephants, then I have this picture of this real elephant that's tiny, that's the size of a mouse, and maybe it's sitting in my shirt pocket. So it's in my pocket here, I have it, it's beside me, it's my friend, it's my pet, it's close to me. Or you can do this another way too. You can change what you look like. So maybe if I'm reading about elephants or something, I imagine that I am this tiny little elephant living in Africa or something like that. So you can transform yourself as long as you know that it is you. So if I imagine that I'm this tiny little elephant living in Africa trying to find food, trying to find water, and so on, then my brain is going to grab and hold this information much more. And again, when you practice this will become very quick and easy to do. Okay? So the example here for the third one is a real elephant the size of a mouse in my shirt pocket. All right, and why are we doing that? Because this will help us to recall information. So again, to bring back information. All right, so this is one way of how you can practice your visualization. Number one, make the image clear. Number two, try to make the image different or unique in some way. And number three, include yourself in the image. This way you're going to understand, you're going to remember, and you're going to recall the information. Okay, now that we know how to do this, let's look at an example from AE Help's IELTS test preparation curriculum book, and let's practice some of this visualization with the listening section.